Hi guys, what you see on the screen is my very simple cloud architect in AWS, and we will design all this from scratch today. So if you are learning AWS or if you want to take your first step towards becoming cloud architect, this will help you. But also the end of the video will teach you how to host your web server in the cloud of AWS again. So this comes in the end. So this looks very complicated at the moment, but let me show you from scratch what we are actually going to configure in AWS. So say this is the cloud of AWS, okay, and let's call it AWS. This is Amazon Web Services, not shopping site. Okay, so that's the cloud of AWS, and inside the cloud, the first thing first we will be doing is to configure our VPC. So let me call this VPC. So what is VPC? So VPC is nothing but it's a virtual private cloud. It's an Amazon VPC. Okay, inside this VPC here, we're gonna be using resources from Amazon AWS. Okay, so that's why this VPC enables you to launch AWS resources in a virtual network. Now take it this way: in traditional way, you can call this as your own data center. This comes with the benefit of using a scalable infrastructure of AWS. So that's the VPC. Now the virtual private cloud that I'm going to be using would be sitting in the region of Ireland. Okay, so inside our VPC, our region, I mean this will be sitting in the region of Ireland, and inside our VPC what I would want to do, I want to configure two different subnet, and these subnets, so this would be my two different subnet, and guess what, these both of these subnet, they're gonna sit in a different availability zone. So again, I'm referring to the data centers inside the Ireland. Okay, so if you want to know more about region and availability zone, that's what you need to learn from online, or AWS. The website itself has massive amount of resources, and which is all free. So AWS here, so this is my AWS cloud. Inside it, I'm gonna be creating my VPC, which will sit in Ireland, and in there I'm gonna create two subnets. So I'm gonna call this subnet 1, and I'm gonna call this one as subnet 2, and both subnets, they will be sitting in a different availability zone. Okay, so going back on here, we are looking at this now. AWS VPC 2 subnets, and they are sitting in Ireland. I will explain to you about this later in a minute. Okay, so let's go on our AWS console. So when you open the AWS website here, you will see this on the screen, and in there, the first thing first that we would want to do now is to configure our VPC. So all you have to do in here, you can just type VPC, and when you click on it, this will show you this page. Now in here, all I need to know is how many VPC I have got at the moment. So when I click on that, I will see one VPC available. So what happened that by default Amazon will have a VPC for you. Okay, now whenever you create your very first account in AWS, you will get this VPC, which is fine. But if you want to create more VPC, you can come in here. But again, in order to define the region, you need to go on top here. And at the moment, my region is Ireland. I can change another region if I want. I can change to London if I want, but for a reason I will stick to Ireland region. I'm happy with it. So all I need to know here, that's just simple. Just click on create VPC. So in here, the first thing first, you will notice that you've got something written on the top. You are very welcome to read it in your spare time, or you can pause the video here. But we need to define an IP address for our VPC. Okay, so everything which is on cloud has to have an IP address. Okay, but this is, as I said, this is our private VPC, so I want to define a private IP address from my VPC. So you know what, at this point I'm just gonna use same IP address what they say in the example. So this is going to be my IP address. So if I copy it and I put it here, paste it. Okay, and I need to give a name to my VPC, so I'm gonna call it sAm VPC. Okay, so that's the name of my VPC. And no, I don't want to use any IPv6 address. I'm happy with IPv4 addressing structure, so this is fine, looks cool. All you have to do is just hit create. So that's created my VPC. Great. So going back in our slide, you have got a VPC running and you have got an IP address assigned to your VPC. Okay, now the next thing I'm gonna do is to create a subnet, and I'm gonna assign an IP address to my subnet, which is going to be that which you see on the screen. And then I'm gonna create another subnet. So I'm gonna create a two subnet with two different IP addresses. Okay, so let's go back, and this was our VPC screen. Okay, so VPC is done here on the left hand side. The second thing, I'm coming on subnet. So if I click on it again, when I click on the subnet, now you will see these subnets here already, right? These are the default subnets. So remember, Amazon given me some default VPC, and if I show you the IP address of my default VPC is this. So for my subnets, the IP address you will see is this. They will all start with the similar number what you see in there. So create my own subnet. I'm gonna create subnet 1 here. So to create subnet 1, I will need to define again name tag. So I'm gonna call it subnet 1 SAM. So I would know that this is my subnet later when it would be time to refer to a subnet. So I'm gonna call it subnet 1. I need to define an IP address to this subnet. So let's start with here. I'm gonna define IP address of 10.0.1.0. Okay, now oh yes, we need to define that as well. Okay, so that's okay. So now this is now asking me that what availability zone I need to configure that subnet in. So again, as I said to you earlier, that subnet 1 will sit in, you know, this is in a separate box here. So there are few availability zone in Ireland. I want to put my subnet 1 in a different availability zone and subnet 2 in a different availability zone. So when I click on here, notice Ireland is still selected here. So I can see that all these availability zone are available for me to choose. So before I choose, just want to let you know that you can only assign one subnet with one availability zone. In fact, we are binding it. So we are binding one subnet. So one subnet can only be bind with one availability zone. So at this point, I would say, let me choose this one, EU West 1A, this one. So when I click on it, so I've chosen my availability zone. Of course, I need to tell that which VPC this subnet is going to be set. So this is going to be my VPC, which is SAM VPC. This is the default one. We will not touch default VPC at any point. So let's click on SAM's VPC. So everything looks cool. Just click on create. So now we have created one subnet. Good. Our subnet is now listed here. So let me expand it. Yeah, so this is my subnet is attached to this VPC. Let me expand it again a little bit here. So this is the subnet and this is the VPC. This is the IP address which we have just assigned, and also I've got 251 IP address available. So I mean the ranges of IP address is like, you know, it should be like 255, right? So just remember guys that you will see the total 251 availability instead 255 because Amazon use 4 IP addresses for internal communication. Okay, so that's the reason you see 251. So let's create another subnet here. So now we're gonna create subnet 2. So I can call it subnet to SAM. Okay, and I need to assign an IP address again. So this one I will assign 10 dot the earlier one was 10.0.1.0, so this is going to be 10.0.2.0, and let me assign this. And now I want to choose a different availability zone at this time, so let's choose B. Okay, so EU West B, and again I want to bind it with my VPC, this one. So all looking cool again, and let's click on create. Okay, so I've got two subnet 1 and subnet 2 here, and they both attached to my VPC. You can see the IP address being given to the subnet. Okay, so now let me show you what's been happening. So we have assigned IP address to our VPC and we have assigned IP address to our subnet. They both sitting on different availability zone, which is great. So this is all looking great. Now we need to work on the right hand side here. So what happened that first thing first, we need to create internet gateway for public access for our VPC. Okay, so my ultimate aim is to host a web server, and in that I'll be hosting a website. So people, they can log into internet and they can come into my web server and see the website, right? But I need a gateway here, and that's going to be public gateway, so people can access my VPC through it. So I need to create internet gateway now. So for that, we have done with subnet, started with VPC subnet. Let's go down on here, internet gateway. So I can click on it. Again, what I see is my default gateway. I don't want to play with that. Simply I'm gonna click on create internet gateway, and I'm gonna call it SAM internet gateway. Okay, I'm gonna hit create here. So now that's created. Now the internet gateway is created, but I need to tell AWS that this will be attached to my VPC. Yep, so I could have couple of VPCs running in here. So I'm simply gonna right click on it, and I'm gonna click on attach to VPC, and I'm gonna choose my VPC, which is SAM VPC here. So let's attach it. So now that is attached. So again, going back on the slide, I have got my internet gateway is up running this side, but I need to create a route table now. Okay, so now traffic can come in the route table. More or less I will define that this traffic, which subnet they can access. Would I want to give them access for both the subnets, or do I rather keep one subnet, or would I rather keep one subnet to myself and give them access to just one subnet? Okay, so this is all going to be done through route table. So go back here and you see something called route table on the side. So if you click on the route table, Now again we've got two subnet, one is default and one is running, one we called it SAM VPC, this one. So the top one is mine, so I can click on that and I can see some options here, routes and subnet and all that. So the first thing first, what we will have to do now is we will add rule. We will tell here that we got internet gateway, right, and we would like to give public access to it. So if I click on root, and at the moment I can see a local root, right? Remember this IP address? Okay, right. So this IP address belongs to my VPC. That's for my local access. We are talking about public access. For public access, I need to add another route here. So I can add, no, let me go back. You didn't see what I do. So route tables again, and you click on edit. So if you click on edit routes here, I need to add a route here, and the route I would like to add is 0.0.0.0. Great. And what happened that this 0.0.0/0 is actually will be, so this will allow my world wide web traffic or traffic from any IP address from world to come to my internet gateway, right? And my internet gateway is this. Okay, so now I have defined the route. So again, we have added a rule. We told here that we got internet gateway and we would like to give public access to it. Okay, so this looking all great. All you have to do is save the route. So now we are done with routes. You should see this new routes listed. Yeah, there you are. So this is our new route. This is a rule really which we have created for our internet gateway, yeah, to give it a public access. Okay, now what you need to do is you need to click on subnet association. Okay, you click on subnet association, and what we are actually doing now, that we are inside route table, and what we are actually doing now here at this point, that we need to tell that when the traffic will come from here 0.0.0.0, right, which is World Wide Web, which is internet, when the traffic will finally reach to this point, now where can they go from here? Are they allowed to go on just one subnet or two subnets? You know what, I will give them access to both the subnets. So if I click back, and all I have to do here is click on edit subnet association. So in here I've got a choice, I've got a luxury, which subnet I want to give access to public. So I'm gonna choose both the subnet, and I'm gonna save. So now both the subnet has been given access, they are saved now. Okay, good. So what we have done so far is, again to recap quickly, we have defined a VPC with that IP address, then inside it we create a subnet 1 and subnet 2, and then we configure internet gateway. Then in route table we have defined that the traffic can come from this IP address, which means from public, from any IP address, and it can go inside. So now our cloud architect is ready, our VPC is ready, but there is nothing inside. We need to install a Windows Server 2009 inside our VPC, inside the region, inside the availability zone. Okay, so let's go back here, and at this moment we're gonna be looking at something called EC2. Okay, so if you click on services and you see EC2 here, if you don't, you can type in here, but if you see EC2 you can click on it. So a quick thing about EC2 is that it is elastic compute cloud. Okay, so this is AWS EC2. It's a simple web service interface. This allows you to obtain and configure capacity with minimal friction. Okay, and also it provides you with complete control of your computing resources. Okay, so in EC2 what we need to do, this is our dashboard of my Elastic Compute Cloud, and all I need to do here, I need to launch an instance. Okay, so this is my instance, and in here I need to select free tier, and all I need to do here is Windows Server. Now I have selected free tier because these are the images of operating system, and they are free. They're gonna cost me very less, and this is just, we are doing labs, so if you are just testing thing, go for it. If you want to do something for production environment, then you can click on here and you can bring up Windows Server, whatever you need here. And what happened that then the marketplace will invoice AWS, and AWS will send invoice to you. I mean, they will bill you for that, but at the moment we stick to free tier. I'm happy with Microsoft Windows Server 2019. All I need to do is click select. Okay, I'm happy with one virtual CPU and 1 GB memory. This is good for testing and demonstration. I'm gonna click on next here. Now in here, obviously remember how many VPCs I've got. I've got 2 VPC, right? I've got a default one and I've got my own one. So I will choose my own VPC, which is this one. I want to put that operating system, that's Windows Server 2019, into this VPC. Once I choose this one, remember I've got 2 availability zone running. I've got 2 different subnets there. Okay, so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to choose subnet 1 here inside my VPC to put this operating system in there. So I'm choosing subnet 1. So where is my subnet 1 here? And then please make sure this is enabled. And then things to note, that you see this something called shutdown behavior. This is good. This is selected as stop. Please make sure it's not terminated. I will tell you the reason later. Okay, but at the moment we want to make sure it is stop, and then we go add storage. So when you click on next on add storage, you will see something like that. This is gonna be the storage of the virtual machine, which is Windows Server 2019 you creating. The minimum is 30. If you try to configure anything less than that, you will have an error message. 30 is fine. The volume type, I'm happy with SSD with GP2. This is general purpose SSD. I'm fine with it. And input output per second, this is fine as well. For demonstration, this all looks good. You don't really need to do anything here. Just click on next tags. So next, add tags. So there are no tags here. I'm gonna add tags. You can read tags about here more, but if I call it name, for example, and I will say my server 2019, self-explanatory. Okay, what are tags? So these are the tags will be attached to those things, to our instance. So this looks fine. Click on next, configure security group. Now security group looks fine. RDP stand for remote desktop. So my remote desktop is fine. All I need to do here, that I need to add another rule. So RDP means I can use a remote desktop tool from Windows or even Mac, and I can connect to my server. But also, because I want to make my server available for public access for the as a web server, I need to get the traffic coming from 0.0.0. Remember? So I'm talking about this 0.0.0. So for that, I'm gonna add another rule, I'm gonna click on a rule and I'm gonna click on here, and I want to get my traffic coming from HTTP. The moment I click on that, you will see here this IP address automatically added, which is fine. I want to, okay, let's add some description. I want to add some description. Fine. So I would say that rule to give access to World Wide Web. Okay. I can click on review and launch now. You are very welcome to read this. I'm not gonna read it. All looks good to me. You're gonna get this every time, this message. Okay, so all looks good to me, and all I need to do is click on launch. Now this is the final thing. So what happened that this is not as straightforward that I'm gonna click on launch and the deployment will start. Now this is like a security, it's like a super security in here in AWS. So what happened that you need to create a key pair. So key pair is what AWS does, that Amazon AWS, they use keys to encrypt and decrypt the login information. So first ever time when I'm gonna log in my remote desktop, by remote desktop or by anything to my virtual machine. Okay, so at the basic level, a sender uses a public key to encrypt data, and a receiver then decrypts using another private key. So I'm gonna be receiver here and AWS gonna be sender here for the key, and key is nothing to unlock my password so I can log in to what I have created just now. So I will do the demonstration just after this step really. So at this point I can create a new key pair. Yeah, okay, let's create a new key pair, and I can call it sAm WebServer server key. So that's gonna be name of my key. Okay, now please remember, the moment you create a key, you download a key pair. So you downloaded it, that's fine. Okay, so now you downloaded it, and then just click on launch instance. So the moment you launch your instance, in this scenario the deployment for Windows Server 2019 has started inside your VPC. So we are at this stage, but what we need to know at this point is, if we go on back on services, and if I click on our EC2 again, and I can click on instance, but I can see one running instances. So or just yeah, so if you click on one running instances, it will tell you that, so we are the top one here. Okay, so remember this my server, this is my old one by the way, which terminated. So okay, so that's an old one. This is the one we just created, my server 2019. So what happened that at the moment the deployment is happening, and we need to wait until the status says that 2x2 checks is complete. So at this point I'm gonna pause this video. So let's check what's happening with our VPC now. So I paused it for like 2 minutes, but let me refresh it. Okay, cool. So it's showing me 2x2 checks, which is completed, which is great. Now the first thing we would need to do here is if I right click on my instance, and if I click on connect here, so first thing first, this is telling me that download the remote desktop file. I can download the file, or I can simply connect it by public IP address. So you know what, I will connect it by public IP address, which is fine. But the username for my virtual machine, which has just been deployed here, which is this one deployment, this one, The username is administrator, but I don't know the password yet. For the password, that's why we downloaded the key pair. Remember key pair? We just downloaded a minute ago. You can reverse the video. You can go back for you can reverse it and you can see it in just previous step we did it. So I'm just gonna click on get password first thing first, and here I need to upload that file which I have downloaded. The name of the file was sAm web server. Yep, and I can click on decrypt password. So this is the password I'm supposed to use when I log in the first ever time, and then I change the password anyway. Okay, so do I need to download? Okay, let's download the remote desktop file, and if I click on that, here the password is the one which I have just copied, so I'm gonna paste it and I'm gonna good. So whenever this comes up, just ignore this, guys, and in fact I can take this. So now it is connecting to my virtual machine, which is now sitting in Ireland, in one of the availability zone of the region of Ireland. Cool. So the first test I'm gonna do as soon as I'm gonna log in is to make sure what is my operating system, and also shall I change? Yeah, okay, let's change the password as well. It's not necessarily because I've got that password, but that password is very complicated. So I mean, I can't remember. So let's change the password as well in that case. So right, so you right click on the start button and you left click on the system. The moment you left click on the system, you will see a window telling you about the operating system here. So okay, here. So this tells you that this is Windows Server 2019 edition, which is cool. I'm happy with it. All I need to do is password. So change your password. So when you go and change your password, remember the old password is still copied. So this was the old password, which was something AWS given it to me, and now I have to define the current password, or rather new password. And hit is AWS new password. Okay, so you can finish it now. Okay, so this is good. This is good. So what we have done so far, I'm gonna minimize this. Okay, I'm gonna minimize this because more or less this is where my video completes. Okay, because the next thing I'm gonna give it to you as a homework. Okay, so this is good. So let's quickly recap, very quick. In the AWS cloud, we created our own VPC, and for our own VPC we defined an IP address. Inside that VPC, well, we put our VPC in Ireland, and that's the region. Inside the Ireland there are 3 availability zones, so they are nothing but data center again. In the first availability zone we have created subnet 1 and we have assigned this ID IP, and in the second availability zone we have created subnet 2 and assigned this IP, and then we have configured an internet gateway. We attached this to our VPC, this VPC, and then when public comes in here, we have created a route table to tell that when the public comes in here from any IP address, which subnet they are allowed to go. We have chosen that okay, they can go on both the subnets, which is fine. In subnet 1 we have installed Windows Server 2019 data center version, which is up running. Now what you have to do at this point, this is your job, I'm not going to do this for you. In subnet 2 you need to install Windows Server 2016 data center and see if you can get this up running. Okay, so if you are just learning Cloud Architect, stop this video here. You don't have to watch the following thing what I'm gonna do, because that will be purely for junior developers or people who want to know how to host their website in the cloud of AWS. So thanks very much, guys, and off you go. Do this thing. For junior developers, this is what we're gonna do next. So let me go back in my Windows Server 2019. Great, looks great. So this is my virtual machine sitting in the data center of Ireland, and all I need to do is bring up my server manager, and I click on server manager. And in order to make this as a web server, I would need to install a web server role in here. So soon as my server manager comes in, I should see some, this option, add roles and feature. So don't need to see this message again. Let's get rid of this message. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is click on add roles and features. So hopefully this is ready to be clicked. So I clicked on it. Great. So you clicked on it. The first thing you do is click on next. And yes, we need to make sure that this is selected, the first option. You click on next and you will see the name of your server here. So 2019 data center, this is the IP address of this virtual machine I'm working in. You can click on next here, and now we are installing web server IIS role. Okay, we are installing a role here, we are adding a role here rather. Okay, so you tick this and you click on add features, and this will install web server IIS role. So you can read what does this do. Okay, remember IIS. I will ask you to remember in a minute again. IIS. Okay, click on next, and if you want to host something, anything which is made up of C#, then you can click on here, but I would want to stay very basic. I want to host something just like HTML and CSS page and no fancy thing at the moment. So just click on next at this point and click on next again. I'm happy with all these things. I don't want to add anything extra, so I'm just gonna click on next, and then click on install. You don't need to restart the server, destination server for this role. That's fine, you don't need that. Click on next. It's gonna take around 2 to 3 minutes because we are working on a free tier with 1 GB RAM. So I'm gonna pause my video here. So my installation is finished now. So what I have to do here is just click on close. So what we have just done, that we have added a web server role. That means now the public from internet, this is World Wide Web traffic I'm talking about, they can just type our IP address and see a page of, you know what, let's do it. So if I minimize this, remember this is the IP address of my machine. So copy that and open another tab here, and if I paste it, right, so this is the IP address of my machine and they can see a web page, which is great. Now we can change the web page and that's going to be our website. So the thing what I'm going to do here, that's just gonna create a quick website, and I'm gonna go to a domain service provider. I'm gonna tell them, hey, this is my IP address and I want to get this domain name. So whenever they type, for example, samwebserver.co. something, they should be coming on that page, right? Okay, let me show you where is this page sitting at the moment in that virtual machine. So we have added a role here. If I click on folders here, and in here if I click on there, and it's in C drive. So let's click on C drive, and inside C drive you will see a folder called inetpub. You click on that and then you click on this www root. You open that folder and you see this website, or you rather see the HTML page here. Okay, and let me double click on it to open it for you. So this is opening now. Right, just so the page you see, okay, the page you see there when we put our IP address is exactly, this is the page. So that page is sitting in our local drive on this address. Okay, so now what we want to do, that we want to put our own website here, right? So it's not gonna be that easy that you replace this files and all that. This is not the way you should be doing it. For best practices, I would go to tools here. So I will click on tools, and remember IIS. A moment ago I asked you to remember when we installed web server role, in the bracket we saw this IIS. Yes, we need to click on that. So if you click on that, and let's maximize this window. Okay, so this is the name of my local machine really. And if I expand this, and if I expand the sites, so what you see in there, the folder which I have just showed it to you on the HTML page, the settings has been put in here. So we're gonna change something here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add my own website to start with. So if I right click on it and I see an option called add websites, so I click on that, and I'm gonna call it SAM website again. And physical path, this is the same path which I have showed it to you. That's C. Inside C there is a folder called INET-pub. Inside the folder there is a folder called www-root, and I want to create a new folder. I want to call it my website, and I'm gonna click OK. So clicked OK. Port 80 is perfect. This will allow our traffic to come in to our IP address, but at this point remember that the default website is also running on this port 80. So what's going to happen when I'm going to click on OK, this is going to tell me that there is a clash. There's a clash because there is something else running on that port 80. Okay, so click on yes for the moment here. So you click on yes, your name comes up here, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna click on default website, we're gonna right click on it, and we're gonna click on edit bindings, and in here we simply gonna change the port, so there is no conflict here. So otherwise there will be conflict between those two. We don't want it, so let's change it to port 8080. I hope that sounds familiar. It's your homework to find out what's port 8080 doing. Okay, but we are doing this because we don't want a clash with our own SAM website. So click OK, and you click OK, and then you click on close and go back on the SAM website here, right click on it, and now you're gonna hover your mouse on manage website, you click on start. So you click on start here. Now you have started that folder for your IP address, but there is no website listed inside that folder. So let me show you that folder again. So C and INET-pub and this one. Inside that we just defined this folder right in here, but inside this folder there is no website listed. So I'm quickly gonna create a quick page on here. Let's call it okay, so let's say doc type HTML. I rather say HTML lang equals to English. put heads, put some title in here. I'm gonna put it my first page. Close the title, close the head as well, and this is HTML, and inside HTML I'm gonna define in my body that I wanna display a heading in very center of the web page, and the heading will be welcome to my first ever page. Cool, it's looking great. Let's close the heading here, and let's close the body, close the HTML itself. Okay, looking good. I'm gonna save this as index.html. Okay, so once I save it, you will see the file comes up there. Let me double click on it. So index.html. Yeah, so this is going to be our web page. When anybody type our IP address, they will see. This is just like I designed quickly for a format. You can put all your files, you can design your nice web page, put in here. Okay, so let me minimize it and check it here. This was our IP address. So if I press enter, great, now our website is up running. Okay, so this is good. So our public access is available, and people can access our website by typing a name, but typing a number, right? But typing a number is a bit tricky to remember, because you have to remember the number. So those IP numbers is not easy to remember. These are this IP address. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go somewhere and we're gonna tell one of the domain name provider that I want to put this IP in. I've got a domain, right? And I'm gonna create a record where domain name can be translated to this IP address. So if I go in, there's a website called freenom.com. So the website is this. Let me show you the web page, how it looks like. Okay, so there's a website and it's called freenom.com, and they give you first 12 months free domain. You don't need to provide any credit card or anything else. So what you can do on here, that in order to test your website, you can go in here, create an account, get a free domain name, and get it running. So once you create an account, once you log in, you see this option up here. So the moment you click on my domains, okay, I need to log in here. So I'm just gonna log in quickly. I'm gonna pause this video. So okay, so I have just logged in here using my Gmail account. Now in here you can you see something called services, and you can click on my domains. So these are the two domains I have got registered all for free. So to test AWS, I've got this domain already. So in here, when you get a domain up running, when you register for a domain, you click on manage domain, and if you click on manage freenom DNS here, so what you need to do here is to paste your IP address in this box. This is the IP address of your machine, your virtual machine. So this IP address, so whenever somebody type that domain name, yeah, this will divert the traffic or take the traffic to this IP address, and they will see my page. You leave this name blank, that's fine, because you are in the settings of your own domain. Mine is testaws.tk. So yeah, that's all looks good. Click on save changes, and It should update my record. Good. It says record added successfully. So this is gonna take some time. Here. It could take 10 to 20 minutes to sync with the DNS in public zone. So what I'm just gonna copy this and I'm gonna paste it one of the web page here. Okay, so I'm gonna pause again for like 5 minutes before this sync is happening, and then I'm gonna show you opening the website by the name of that domain. Okay, so I'm now resuming the video again. I paused it for a while, so it should be working, that domain name, by this time, because it takes time to sync, as I said. So this is the IP address. Let me show you again. We did something like that. So our IP address is now it's so now it's accessible by this domain name. Okay, so I will show you in a different browser. Shall we open Edge? Okay, so let's open Edge, and I'm simply gonna put the name, that website, yeah, that one. So just gonna press enter, and it's picked up. So our website is running. So now this website is sitting inside this web server. Yeah, now this is just not a web server. You can use it as a DNS server, as a file server, as a mail server. Is your call. You can add extra storage while you configure that instance first time in AWS. Depends on your requirement. Okay, but what we have done here, that we have hosted a website on the web server which is sitting in the cloud of AWS. Okay, the cloud, we went to the Ireland side and we chose one of the data centers in Ireland, and we put our subnet there in first subnet. Okay, so this is AWS, and what I've done, I mean, the AWS, I mean, it comes with limitless possibilities. You can do so many things in it. This is one tiny things what I've done for you guys, but this is just to give you the basic steps in AWS for you. This will get you started, and you can do wonders with it. Now don't forget that for all the IT professionals, it's gonna be a must-have certificate, one of the cloud computing, in say another 5 or 10 years time, and obviously it will boost your salary. So I would say that even if you are not studying for AWS, that's fine. Start playing with it. It's fun. It's very good. So and as you see on the screen, you can have a 12 months of free tier access. Okay, so have fun, practice on AWS, and enjoy. If you have any comments, you rather send me a message on LinkedIn, but don't put any comments because I don't read it. Thank you guys.